And hello there, welcome back to the channel guys, this is Maverick with episode 3 of Pet. So, this has been a pretty intriguing series so far. I do like the subject matter of it, deep diving into people's minds and subconscious and then affecting them in different ways, gathering information, or even completely smashing their personality and making them into basically a vegetable. Basically it get them into a vegetative state, right? It's a really intriguing concept. The funny thing is that there's actually another anime this season with almost the same exact concept, just doing it from a different side, and that would be the anime by name of Ito Invaded or Id Invaded, right? It also follows people who dive into other people's subconscious in order to gather information, etc., etc. Although that one goes from the good side of things, if you will. Whereas this one, the main protagonists that we're following seem to be more on the bad side, right? I guess you can't say that they're inherently evil or something, but they are doing, let's say, more shady stuff with their abilities, right? So anyways, there's a lot to explore in regards to, their full abilities, how they can use them and whatnot. But one of the questions I have raised in the last episode is why exactly are they working for this big organization, right? Considering that they have these, basically mind-bending powers, why would they answer to anybody in the world? There were some comments last episode that said I might find out in this episode, so that's what we'll do right now. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. By the way, I skipped the opening, as usual. But I definitely listened to it, though, because TK is awesome. Oh, they really... No? And he's gonna be, no, I'm going with you. Oh. Oh? Getting jealous here, I guess. Yeah. Oh, he's about to get beaten up. Oh. Brat. Hmm. Oh, they're speaking in Chinese. Huh. The accent is actually pretty nice, pretty good. Okay, never mind. Well, I can't quite... Because Chinese has a lot of different dialects. I can't quite see if it's, if it's because they're not used to voice acting, or their accents are really over exaggerated. That's called reverse psychology. Right. Oh. It's brainwashing her. Are you really supposed to be using your powers like this? You're certainly quite the selfish one. But hey, I can't blame him. If he's got these kind of powers. Okay, never mind. With this third passage, I think. Never mind. Hmm. What's with that girl back there? Alright, so his job's to take care of Inui. Oh, why? Hmm. Hmm.
噂通りボスの里見の言いなりなんだな。
Hmm. Oh, there's the girl. What? Okay. I was not expecting this. This work really goes all out, doesn't it? Look at those oversized hands and whatnot. But of course, like we already said before, these aren't exact memories. Right? They're your emotions gathered with the memories. Oh, mom's dead. They killed her or something? Yep. Damn. Does he feel? That. Oh, that's his peak. Hmm. 'Put valleys around the peak.' Huh. Doesn't that mean they need a lot of bad memories? Yeah. Gotta bear the results of your actions. Is that his actual father?
その誰かってのは察しはつきます。それを確かめてから仕掛けを考えますよ。
一人で大丈夫ですか？やっぱり俺も。
いや、それはヒロキとも約束したし。
そうですよね。もちろん。
Yet again?
どうも。よく来るんですか？自分もなんですよ。下手ですけどね。
てめえ、
そっちに行くって言ったじゃないですか。言いましたよね。行くって。
私が人様に見られるのか。恥ずかしいってのかい。誰が面倒見てやってるって
Parents visiting day.
思ってんだい。あこれっぽっちかい。私の娘に手を出して子供まで作っといて。
Even getting her.
どうだ
Yeah.
新しいバットだぞ。
ありがとうお父さん。
What?
ケンタ、ボールあったか？どこの子だ？
お父さん取られたの。
なんだって？バット返しなさい。返せ。ボールもお前が盗んだのか？返せ泥棒。一番求めていたものが谷になったのか。それなら
Nice.
いいバットだな。ああ、いいバットだ。
So now he's going to change it to hatred for the other guy.
大丈夫？
ナイスショット。
大周让在家里等等。毕竟现在见面不能太张扬。
やけに機嫌良さそうじゃねえか、乾。シャブ決めてんじゃねえだろうな。
どうぞ。
Hmm.
我先走一步了。ああ、こりゃ見つけるのが大変そうですね。3時間。ああ。うん。
There's an
你们，
大周，太好了，终于见到你了。
你知道这么做的后果吗？
你说什么？不是你决定在这里见的吗？
3時間。ボールは見つかりましたか？ボール、お前が盗んだか？
ooh, that's the trigger. Now what's he gonna do now? Gonna go berserk or something?
返せ、泥棒。返せ、泥棒。
Yep. Ooh.
你们，てめえ，你们在干什么？
3時間。どうかしましたか？
やばいですよ。
he used a gun there? Like, hmm.
でもわからないですね。その3時間って記憶をいじられて会社側の人になってたんですよね。死んじゃったら元も子もないんじゃ。
サトル、早死にしたくなかったら余計な詮索はするな。
そりゃそうですけど。
Just do what the company says.
つかさ、ただいま。つかさ、つかさ、つかさ、つかさ。
偉いな、ヒロキ。ちゃんと守ってくれてたんだな。俺たちの店を。
あ、当たり前だろ。
できるんですかね、あいつに店なんか。
無理に決まってるだろう。あいつはホテル暮らししかしたことがないんだ。
じゃあなんだってまた。
なんだっていいんだよ、カツラギ。ヒロキのためならなんだってやってやるんだ。あれほどのペットはな、絶対に手放すわけにはいかない。
Oh, so that's the meaning of pet.
いいんですけどね。
Huh.
それより、なんで俺たちなの？
え？
次の仕事だよ。サトルとお前でできないの？
ああ、サトルは無理ですね。なんせ林の件なんで。
林さん、見つかったの？
Ayashi's the guy who sort of initiated Satoru.
ずっと日本にいやがったらしいんですよ、あいつ。結局は見つかるのにバカなやつですよ。
2年間も騙されてて何がそんなに嬉しいんだ？林の件はヒロキは抜きだ。俺とお前で何とかしよう。
はい。
Wait, so he's actually a much bigger deal than initially expected? Or did he use some kind of Jedi mind tricks there? Alright, I'm gonna have to go and look through this again. I'll see you guys in a second. Well, that was certainly a title drop where I least expected it. So, we now have this concept of someone being a pet of another, right? And in this case specifically, it's Tsukasa talking about Hiroki being a pet of his. And you know what? The more that I think about it, the more that it kind of makes sense. You know, initially I thought, okay, Tsukasa and Hiroki are this, you know, homosexual couple or whatnot. That's whatever, right? But, you know, the way that Hiroki acts and the way that Tsukasa treats him, that it is very reminiscent of a pet, right? You know, your owner is leaving home to do work or whatnot, stay put, and be good and whatnot, and then once you go back, and then you've got Hiroki running up to him, you know, wanting a hug, wanting, you know, it really has a feeling of like a puppy or something like that, right? So it actually makes a lot of sense as well. And I gotta say, the plot twist at the very end there, that was indeed very intriguing to me. How, you know, it seemed that we get a complete shift of power, and Tsukasa seems to be like the one calling the shots at the very end there. So that is because we can definitely see the other guy, Katsuragi, you know, putting out his cigarette and being sitting up straight and being more formal with him, right? So I have this feeling that Tsukasa might be like one of those, you know, one of the higher level people, and he's just simply, you know, he wants to be on the front line, or he doesn't want to handle the day-to-day mundane work or something like that. So he's sort of, you know, he's sort of hiding there, you know, behind the scenes or whatnot, just acting like a clueless little normal agent, or what do they call them? Cleaners or whatnot. I kind of forgot, but of the company. But in actuality, he's a real big shot, right? And I don't think it's a case where he's actually manipulating Katsuragi's mind, because so far when they use their powers, it's been, you know, you see some obvious clues of that, but I don't think that's the case for that scene right there. I think Tsukasa really is, you know, he is much more important to the company than we have been shown so far. So that was pretty cool. As for the actual story of this episode, so it was kind of back and forth, and I think it all stems back to the same problem, and that is, why did this counselor have to die, right? Why did Joe have to die when he was working for the company? You know, how Satoru was asking at the very end there. Well, we'll probably learn more about that in the next episode, if episode 1 and 2 are anything to go by. However, there were a few different clues, I guess also kind of spoilers in a sort of way, that I gleaned from rewatching it and also looking through the end of the episode through the cast list, right? So, Inui is obviously a big part of this episode, right? He's this big hunk who's had a very troubled childhood, and he's projecting his feelings onto this Yakuza kind of person, Satomi, and essentially being his henchman, right? All because he needs a father figure and whatnot. So I went for the cast list, and I found something interesting. So both Inui's parents and his grandmother made an appearance in this episode. So his grandmother, I think we can infer to be the old lady who was taking care of her. They called her Inui's foster mom. I think that's actually his grandmother, you know, the one that's dressing him up and whatnot. So that's his grandmother. And I believe, you know, if we go back to a scene where right before Inui saw his grandmother die, we see two people running out of the apartment, right? I believe those two are actually Inui's parents, if I'm not mistaken. So basically, it's just a case of being abandoned by parents. You know, her mom probably was doing, you know, going around banging different dudes or being banged by different dudes or whatnot, and then had Inui, didn't really want to take care of him, threw him to grandma, and then yeah, I think that's basically it. And then grandma is a little bit loose in the head, so you know, she's also doing prostitution work, and then also, I don't know why, but playing dress up with Inui. Maybe he wants him to dress like a girl so he can also earn money through prostitution. I think that's what they're trying to get at. And so, you know, it's just a very, I don't know, man, the things that this anime goes through, it really touches on a lot of subjects and a lot of weird, I wouldn't even say fetishes, but a lot of different aspects that you don't normally see in different anime, right? So that was pretty cool there. But I think that is generally the, you know, what I could get. So it's Inui's parents, Inui's grandma, and that's how Inui turned out to be the way he is. I think the part where, you know, we had the ending where he killed Zoe was pretty obvious, right? His memories were changed, so some trauma from his childhood was projected instead to Joe, and so that's what prompted Inui to eventually beat him to a death with a golf club, right? All for the end goal of getting rid of him, because the company doesn't want him anymore. So that's basically it, and hopefully we'll learn more about the why to it in the next episode. Not to mention, we also get a mention of Hayashi again. You know, he's the guy who, in the very first episode, and I guess you can say the prologue, the one who discovered Satoru and the one who brought him in, right? And if from the different bits and pieces of information that we glean from the rest of the episodes, he's probably also the peak of Satoru, right? So that's kind of fun as well. And you know, there was another concept in regards to their abilities that popped up this episode, and I thought was pretty interesting. So I always thought that there was only one peak and one valley, but apparently you can actually have lots and lots of different valleys, you know, lots and lots of these different bad memories, if you will. And you know, by having lots of them, that's how these sort of ability users are able to better control their abilities and not completely sync up with the emotions of other people. So that was a pretty interesting concept, which I guess may be explored a little bit more in future episodes. Beyond that, what else? I guess some little piece of trivia. I did go back while I was rewatching this, and I went through the scenes where they were speaking Chinese again. So on second watch through and with concentration, you could definitely tell that those are just foreign, non-native speakers speaking Chinese with an accent. I was initially hesitant to say that because, Chinese has a lot of different dialects, depending on where you come from. That's for one thing. And for a second thing, if they really did get true fluent speakers of Chinese, they might not necessarily be voice actors, and so they might have been reading the script in a more expressionless kind of manner, right? In Japanese, we call it boyomi, which is basically reading from the script without putting any of your emotions, without putting any of your acting into it. But judging from the cast list and then listening to it again, I think it's just a case of Japanese voice actors trying to speak Chinese. So that was pretty fun. But I will commend them. They at least, there wasn't any grammatical errors there. There wasn't any, they used the correct terminology. They used the correct words, and so on and so forth. That includes the text scenes as well. So props to them, right? All right, and so that's basically it for episode 3. And next episode, I hope we learn a little bit more about the true identity of Tsukasa, and of course, everything else that goes with it. So there we go. That's it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.